Hello, I'm so excited to share something with you today that I feel like is going to change your life. And I'm not just saying that exaggerating, like I literally mean that what I'm going to teach you is going to really transform your life in so many aspects, so many aspects. So let me back up a bit and share with you that midlife is an interesting time. We get to like 40 and we start thinking, like we start noticing changes in our body, in how we look, how we feel. We're like halfway through our life and we start thinking, oh man, like it's just downhill from here. And I don't believe any of those things. I think that we are just getting started. We were in our young childhood, in our teens, in our 20s, and our 30s, we're just learning. We're learning, we're growing, we're figuring things out. And when we hit our 40s and beyond, we are wiser, we are stronger, and we have so much potential. And so I want to help you realize that your 40s and beyond are just getting started. Like this is not your sunset era. This is your golden hour. Several years ago, and I think a lot of you can relate with this, I was just going through the daily grind, just the hustle and bustle of life, and you get complacent and you get apathetic, and joy kind of like leaves parts of your life because you just aren't pushing yourself, aren't learning, aren't growing. And I started doing different things in my life that have helped me get that joy back and have helped me thrive and help me reach my potential. And I have been really praying and digging deep this last 6 months of how I can package that up to what I did over the last few years to teach you and help you see that same transformation. And I had a big breakthrough a couple weeks ago, and I have been so excited to share this with you because I finally have been able to put it into a framework that I can teach you, that you can implement in your life and see transformation and change again. I want you to be thriving. I don't want you just to be coasting through life. I want you to be experiencing great memories and relationships and progress. And I want you to look in the mirror and love what you see. I want you to feel good and I want you to do good. So this framework is called the R.I.S.E framework. And I love a good acronym. So the R-I-S-E in the word RISE all stand for something. So I'm going to break it down for you. And you can use this framework in literally every aspect of your life. I'm going to give you some examples once I introduce it to you. So you can start getting your mind thinking of how you can apply it to your life. And then in the future, be on the lookout for some great resources and challenges and opportunities that will dig deeper into this framework, okay? So the R.I.S.E framework, okay? We're going to rise together. The R in R.I.S.E stands for reflect honestly. So take a minute to really be honest about some aspect in your life. Okay, so you have to figure out what aspect in your life you want to change. Okay, so reflect honestly about the aspect and really don't judge yourself. Just keep it factual. This is a circumstance. This is what's going on. Be honest about it. Okay, so that's the R. The I is interrupt your inner critic. We are so mean to ourselves. The things that we say in our mind can be so negative. We would never say those things to our children, to our spouse, to a good friend, someone that we love and admire. We would never say the things that we say to ourselves to someone else that we love. So interrupt your inner critic. Figure out what you're saying to yourself about that situation. Interrupt it. I want you to flip it and change what you would be saying to yourself in your head and change it to how you would speak to your child who came to you with the same problem, okay? So that's I. S is set new standards. So where are you currently at in your life in this specific circumstance? And where do you want to be? What changes do you want to see? Okay, set that new standard. And then E is elevate your actions. Take one small step today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, today, that will help align with who you want to become. And then continually repeat that action or do another step towards progress, okay? So let's break it down to some examples so that you can understand where I'm going with this, okay? So I have 3 different examples. Let's take health as a first example, okay? So several years ago, when I was in my late 30s, I'm in my early 40s now, I was feeling really tired. And that's not like, that's normal. Like we all go through stages of our life where we're just tired. You know, like we're momming and we're doing all the things. We're being a wife or being a mother. We're doing all the things at home and work and all this stuff. I was tired. And I was just feeling like, blah, and I was feeling weak. I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel like I had energy. I also looked in the mirror and I looked like I felt scrawny. I just didn't like what I saw in the mirror. And so let's use the R.I.S.E framework to take that circumstance and to reframe it and see how I changed. Okay. So R, reflect honestly. So you have to take a minute to reflect on where you are. So I was tired. I had no energy. I felt weak. I looked weak. That's how I honestly felt. Okay. I interrupt the inner critic. Things I was telling myself were like, oh, you're so ugly. You've let yourself go. Yeah, I'm mad at you for not like going to bed earlier and staying up later, watching Netflix. And then you just repeat the cycle. You know, I was just saying those mean things to myself. I'm not as strong or as beautiful as I used to be. Those are the things that were going through my mind, that inner critic. How can I flip those thoughts though? If like my daughter came to me and said, Mom, I look in the mirror and I feel and look weak. I would never say, yeah, you're right. You've let yourself go. You look terrible. I wouldn't say that. I would say, oh, you are beautiful. Let's learn how to take better care of your body. You know, like, so instead of really focusing on the negative, you flip it to how you would speak to somebody else. So then I started saying, you know what? I can learn to take better care of my body. The S is set new standards. So how could I change from where I currently was to where I wanted to be? I wanted to look in the mirror and feel and look strong. I was tired of feeling weak. I was tired of feeling tired. And so my new standard was, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I'm going to set new standards and I'm going to do a better workout. I'm going to put better things in my body. I'm going to take better care of the way that I sleep. I'm exercising. And so I set a new standard of what I wanted to be. I wanted to look in the mirror and look and feel strong. That's my new standard. And then E, elevate my actions. What was one small step that I could take to change? Because you can think you want to change all you want, but you actually have to take the action to make it happen. And so when I was like 39? I always made the excuse I didn't have enough time to exercise. I didn't like exercising. I didn't need to exercise. And I finally called myself out on that bullcrap and I made the time. And I started walking daily and I started weightlifting. And I kind of dabbled in weightlifting for the first year, got a little bit more serious in the second year. And then the third year, which is where I'm at right now, I am more serious and more intentional and more consistent. And I feel and I look stronger than I ever have. And I did that one small step at a time. So do you see how you can use that R.I.S.E framework in your health? Okay, let's do another example. Let's talk about my marriage. And I'm sure you feel the same way. I think that I could probably guarantee that most marriages at some point, it's some stage in their marriage, whether it's newlywed, midlife, or older, there's a stage in your marriage where you just feel complacent. You feel apathetic. You are going through the motions and you feel like roommates. And I think I know that's normal, but it doesn't have to be the norm. You don't have to settle. And so let's take that. Several years ago, I was feeling apathetic and complacent in my marriage. It was taking a back burner. We weren't making our marriage a priority. Kids were, we were really involved in our kids or traveling or whatever we were doing at that time, work. So we let things get in the way of our marriage. So how can I take that R.I.S.E framework and make it better? How can we rise? R, reflect honestly. So I had to reflect. You have to admit that there is a problem. You have to admit that you want change. So I reflected, like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to just like pass each other in the hallway, give a quick kiss at night, and that's it. Like, we don't communicate as well as we used to. I had to reflect honestly that there needed to be change if I wanted to be happier in my marriage. I interrupt the inner critic. Instead of being down on myself, like, I should be doing this better, I should be doing this better, I'm a horrible wife, I don't like this about my husband, whatever it is, interrupt the inner critic and just flip it and say, these are things that I have done in the past, and these are things that I want to do better. And I know I love my husband, and I love myself, and I know I'm a good person. And talk to yourself as you would talk to a best friend who is approaching you with the same problem. S, set new standards. Where are you currently, and where do you want to be? So currently I was apathetic, and I was just not trying as hard as I should have in my marriage. And I wanted to be at a point where we loved hanging out with each other again. We were having fun together again, and we were having quality time together again. And so you have to set that new standard so that you see the vision of where you want to go. And then the E is elevate your actions. What's one small step that you can take today that will help you get to where you want to be? So we started doing date nights weekly, and that made a huge difference. And then I also started doing, like, being more intentional about communicating with his love language, which is physical touch or quality time. And so I was just more intentional about interacting with my husband. So that is how you can use the R.I.S.E framework in your marriage or in a relationship. You can do that same thing with, like, with your relationship with your parents, or with a child, or with a friend, whatever it is. Use that same framework to improve a relationship. All right, and the last example, let's go into my skin. So how can we use the R.I.S.E framework to have better skin? So again, my late 30s, I feel like my late 30s might have been a little rough. Actually, looking back, that was like transition from living abroad to coming back to Arizona. So that was a big transition in my life. Have grace and realize that you don't have to be stuck in a spot for the rest of your life. Reflect honestly where you are and where you want to be again. So rise, reflect honestly. My skin, I looked in the mirror, and my skin looked, even though I had oily skin, it was dehydrated. It was dull. It didn't have a nice healthy glow to it. I had dark circles and puffy under eyes. I just looked at the mirror and was just like, ooh. And so how can I use the R.I.S.E framework to have better skin? Reflect honestly. These were the things that I could honestly, like, factually see when I looked at myself in the mirror. Dry skin, dull skin, dark circles. Those were my problems. Then I had to interrupt the inner critic. Instead of, like, looking at myself and thinking, oh man, you have let yourself go. We are going downhill from here. If this is 40 and I have many years to go, like, we have a tough road ahead of us, or like, just thinking of all the bad things. Like, I'm terrible. I need to be taking better care of my skin, or being mad about the products that I was using, and like, interrupt the inner critic and talk to myself like I would talk to a friend who came to me with that same problem. Hey, yeah, this is the normal thing about aging, is when you have mature skin, you go through some of these struggles, but be curious and let's figure out how we can fix the problem. So change that dialogue from super negative and putting yourself down to, no, we can do this. Like, you have beautiful skin, but we can take better care of it. S, set new standards. Where are you currently and where do you want to be? So currently my skin was like, dull, not healthy. And I wanted to get to a point where I looked in the mirror and I was like, hey, I'm looking good. Like, I don't feel like I have to put on a ton of makeup in order to feel confident leaving the house. Like, I'm okay makeup free. So that's where I wanted to be. And then E, elevate my actions. What was one small step that I could take today to help me get to that healthier skin? So that's when I started doing research. I started trying products, and then I found waterless skincare and started researching about that and learning about that and trying it and investing in it. And now, 2 years, like a year and a half later, my skin is so healthy, so glowy, and I look a lot younger than I did 5-10 years ago. So that's how I can use the R.I.S.E framework with my skincare. So you can use this. Reflect honestly, interrupt the inner critic, set new standards, elevate your actions. You can use that framework in every aspect of your life. Any area where you feel like you're stuck, where you feel frustrated, where you feel like you want to see change and you don't know how to do it, you can use this framework to rise. It's a beautiful thing. I love that it's an easy formula that you can plug in your problem and sit and reflect and see how you can change. That's the thing. I think we live in such a world where we expect instant results. We can go to Amazon, click purchase, and then it's like delivered the next day. We're getting complacent and we're getting lazy in putting forth effort to see change in our life. And so if you want to see change in your life, you do have to put forth the effort. You do have to sit still. You have to unplug. You have to sit down and really be honest with yourself and how you can be a better person. This is not your downhill from now on. Like your 40s and over are not going to be like terrible. We are going to thrive. This is not our sunset era. This is our golden hour. This is the time that we are going to look beautiful and strong and share our light with others. Like I want your happiness to be contagious to other people. I want people to look at you and see your actions and want to know how you are being so successful in your life, in your relationships, in your business, in your all the things that you have going on in your life. We need more light in our world, and that starts with us. We can't change other people and their actions, but we can change ourselves. So let this be your reminder that you were not made to fade. You were born to shine. I love you. I know that you have so much potential. I know that if there's something in your life that you feel stuck and complacent and just really frustrated with, I know that you can work through it. I know you can figure it out. I have faith in you. And I know through this framework, the R.I.S.E framework, you can use those tools to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. You got this. Have a fabulous day. And remember that when you feel good, you do good. Ciao.